Hello, everybody. Welcome into the stream. Welcome back for those. We're just swapping over from talking about ESO, and we're pulling up Dune, and we're gonna talk. We are going to talk. Hold on, there's some rabbits behind me. Hold on, let's see what they're doing. They say everything's fine, nothing to see here. I don't know if I believe them, but that's what they're telling me. Okay, cool. So, uh, today what we're talking about is Dune Awakening, and we're talking about some of the issues. And I know some of you guys are just watching because you like to watch me, and I really appreciate that. And maybe you haven't had a chance to play. So for those people, bear with me. Everybody else, I want to kind of preface and honestly, even if you play Dune, let's talk about some of the in-game problems. Okay, so Dune Awakening is an incredibly cooperative MMO. They took off the MMO branding, and people made a big deal about it. You play with a bunch of other people. Is it as mass multiplayer as some other games? Like, you could argue kind of not, but also like really in a lot of ways it kind of is. I don't know. We're kind of splitting hairs here is what I think it comes down to, and I really don't think it's that big of a deal. I think people made a mountain out of a molehill, to use a mountain out of a molehill's kind of colloquial expression, made a bigger deal out of it than I think it deserves. So it's mostly PVE, and then there are PvP sections, and then you get to the deep desert, and deep desert is mostly PvP, and it's the end game. And honestly, there's some issues. There's a lot of issues. So we've done. So first off, we spent like 2 hours the other day on stream doing PvP with like six of us, melee combat, or I'm sorry, non-ship combat, both ranged and with melee weapons. And the time to kill is ridiculously high. You really need to gang up on somebody to kill them, is what we found. It was incredibly difficult. And we didn't have optimal builds, and we were all in the same gear. So we did kind of normalize stuff. Um, I think that my skill should have been higher than than most of the other people's, because I had more hours in. And I still was on. At first, I was able to kill a couple people, and then after that, I was not killing anybody. And it was just like, uh, Luna says, "Yeah, I got a bit confused about the MMO aspect of it." Okay, and I'm sorry I didn't clear the chat from our last convo, but we'll just leave it up now because I don't want to. Yeah, it is an MMO. You like on a particular area where you can um, have full interaction with everybody else. You only have around 30-ish people, which, like, most MMOs are instance anyway, so there's not a gajillion people, although that's changing now as the tech gets better. And then what you do, that's called a siege, right? Then they'll have about 30 people active at a time, sometimes up to 60. And then you'll have a whole bunch of sieges, and you can go visit other people and they can come visit you. And your character stays leveled, and you can bring stuff. The only thing is you can't build a permanent base, because you can have permanent base building out in the open world like most survival games, and it's pretty amazing. I honestly think that for what you get compared to what you give up, compared on the MMO front, it's an MMO to me. Um, I think that the real reason that they said, well, what they said, that they were changing the MMO, was because they didn't want people to think a fantasy traditional WoW like MMO. And I think that has some validity to it. The backlash it caused, or if, or is there some other reason that they did it? Maybe. I tend to take people more or less at the word, unless I know they're lying to me all the time. And if they do that, then I don't believe anything they say. Whatever. I don't think it matters. I think it's a difference without a distinction. Sure, is it different? Yes. Does it really matter? I don't think so. Not to me personally. The only problem is, you can't necessarily hop from one world to, like, join anybody anytime like you can with an MMO. But even then, with most MMOs, like, you have mega servers. And so it's like, oh, you're on the NA, you're on EU. So you have to re-level up. And the grind to level up in Dune is so much fucking easier. So much easier. Sorry, I shouldn't be cursing. It's so much friggin' easier, that, like, it's not a big deal. Our whole guild, we changed servers because we're like, you know what? This server's may potentially overpopulated, but we're not getting as good ping. Somebody had suggested we go to this server and that it was in between everybody and had decent ping, and I kind of trusted them. was not the case. We moved to a different server. Things have been better. The ping's better. Um, these guys care so much about player experience, guys. One of the reasons they have all these different worlds is because they want PvP to be really good and to feel, like you would have in a first or third person shooter. Some of the devs are really, they're into like CSGO. So that's Counter-Strike for those who don't know. Counter-Strike Global Offensive. That's what the CS:GO stands for. That's what they call it. And they really like, that's a very competitive, very PvP focused thing, and those guys like that. So they wanted people to have, even in Oceania, pretty awesome. But no matter where you are, servers near you so that you could have good experience in PvP. And they built the game around having low ping. So they want to make sure everybody could do that. And there's no monthly fee. It's amazing. And there's not going to be microtransactions either. Yeah, Luna said, so it should be MMO, just not a traditional one. Exactly, Luna. That's what I would call it. And I think that they were just worried that there was some confusion. Maybe that was valid. I think in hindsight, they probably wouldn't have changed it because people freaked out about it. There's also been, guys, I'll be honest. So if you're tuning in because you like Dune and you've never seen me before, just know, you can ask anybody on the channel. I don't pull any punches. I am harsh on devs whenever they do stuff that is messed up or stupid or anti-consumer. I am all about it. And I try to be very, very just as vocal, if not more so, whenever devs are doing the right thing. And these guys care. They're trying to make a good game. And I know some people would say like, oh, all devs care, or most devs would but some of them it doesn't. Yes, the individual devs working and doing the job too, but the people in charge don't really care, a lot of them. And then they're kind of turncoats. They're all about the money. They're not worried about the player experience. These guys care about a good player experience, okay? Yeah. Luna says it's nice to hear, even not being a fan of FPS, it's nice that they've had a more competitive view about it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think they just want something for everybody because that's what you need in an MMO. And the way they had originally pitched it and the way they've tried to design it is that, sorry, I have some rabbits that are going to want some treats here in a second. I'm going to have to give them to them. They want there to be, like, even in the PvP area, that you go out, and the biggest thing is harvesting spice. It's Dune, right? Of course, harvesting spice is like the biggest deal. The way they set it up is that you need someone to drive the spice harvester. That person's not fighting. They're driving the spice harvester. You need someone to fly him out there. That person's also not fighting, right? And then you have people in gunships and then people potentially with land units and stuff like that. That's not the reality right now, but that was the dream, okay? And I think that's an amazing dream because what really makes an MMO, and people don't understand this, but what really makes an MMO is that you need to have a whole bunch of people from different backgrounds with different interests all playing the same game and playing it the way they want. So there's some people that play the markets in MMOs, right? There's some people that only solo PvE. There's some people that only group PvE. There's some people that only PvP. There's some people that only do housing. There's some, and then most people do some combination of those things. That is all possible in Dune Awakening. It's not there. There's some serious balancing issues, but I think it's fine. It's fine. It's not perfect. It's $50. There's no subscription. Give the guys a break. Give them a moment to fix the game. If they still don't do it or do stupid things, then let's like beat them up. But there have been certain creators who have gone out of their way. Honestly, guys, most of the time when people, as a YouTuber, okay, 99% of the time when someone says this company or this person or this YouTuber is doing this just to generate like anger clicks or whatever, I know that happens, but 99% of the time when people say that, I don't think that's what's happening. People have told me I'm doing it. They've told other creators they're doing it. And I'm like, no. That person might be wrong. You might completely disagree with them, but they're offering a genuine take. Okay. And something that is reasonably well informed. Okay. Some of the takes on Dune Awakening have been, they are either completely disingenuous, which I think is actually the case, or to give them the benefit of the doubt, kind of, maybe they're just idiots and really just didn't spend the time they should have. Both are possible. There's one guy who got a lot of views by running around what is essentially the tutorial area, acting like there was no content because it was and how stupid and boring and not interesting it was in the tutorial area. Right. And he made fun of it, and he was funny, he was entertaining, sure, but it was an incredibly disingenuous take. And people have done that with Dune, and I just hate to see it. If the devs are messed up, if they don't care about what the players think, yeah, let's rake them over the coals. But if they're trying, like, let's give them a break. All right. That was my take. Let's talk into it. So, a message from the creative director on PvE and PvP. Also, I still didn't get there. PvP, guys. PvP right now is, the situation is, there are, like, it's not balanced. There's a lot of problems. We went out, we've done several PvP expeditions. It's really easy for people to camp out in the deep desert. Literally, they can build houses and just own a spot. And if you're a solo player, like, you're just not getting in at peak times. And if you're a solo casual player, the only time you're playing is probably peak times. And even if you're not, like, it's still pretty difficult, because once they capture those resources, it's incredibly hard. Like, there's not a good balance, and they have plans to balance that out, but it's really hard. There's issues. Another thing is, like, you go into a dungeon, and they're open world dungeons. You go in and it locks you in there. Well, people can come in behind you. So what happens is they watch you go in, they count how many people you have, they make sure they're bringing more than that, and then they come in behind you, and you can't even leave or flee. You're forced into combat. And that's a problem, because you're probably going to die because they know you're there. There's some really cool and interesting things that could be done, but right now it's kind of messed up in a lot of different ways. Let's see what they have to say. Hello, sleepers. Let me make sure you guys can see this well. Yeah, it looks like you can. I want to write something that acknowledges and addresses the comments around the endgame of Dune, Awakening, while also providing context for what we were attempting. That's interesting. He's saying it already past tense. So let me start by stating this unequivocally. We want PvE players. There's the rabbit that is looking for treats now. Let me pause and give her them. You got to have a bunny break every once in a while, guys. It's just what you got to do. Got to take a moment, make sure your rabbits are very well fed. Let me make sure they're not. All right, cool. Let me see. So let me start by saying this unequivocally. We want PvE players to be able to play the end game and have access to the content of the end game, because right now it feels a little bit like they're blocked off. It's very high risk, very low reward to do it. Our goal is to not force PvE players to interact in a PvP system that they may have no interest in. Awesome. Cool. The main thing is, like, our goals are aligned. That's great. I love it. Yeah. And then they put it in giant letters here for us. Okay. No in-game plan survives first contact with the players. Mark Twain, probably. That's hilarious. Obviously, this is not Mark Twain. I think the only way this could have been better, most misquotes are attributed to Albert Einstein, so I think that would have been better here, but Mark Twain is fun. All right. We still believe in the core concept of the deep desert. Absolutely. It's a great concept. An endlessly renewing location that resets every week and creates an active activity loop for great rewards. The tension of heading out there, head on a swivel, eyes peeled for foes as you enter the most dangerous part of the most dangerous planet in the universe. Absolutely. I agree with this. Both times that we've really ventured as a group, I've gone out more by myself, and I've been able to just avoid. I didn't have any problems. Sometimes it was off hours, but when we've gone out as groups, we've gotten crushed. Okay. I would say we've gone from beaten to crushed, one of the two. And so it hasn't gone well. I've still had a ton of fun. And you know what? One time, like, everybody lost. It wasn't like that we lost and the other team lost. It's like kind of everybody did. So we gave as good as we got, but it didn't work out great for everybody. And that was a situation where we didn't know they were there until it was like, oh God, we're there. And all those were on stream. So, yeah, absolutely. I like this. It should be dangerous. Cool. Our wish was that players would embrace this loop, forming guilds to work together to overcome the bleakness of the deep desert. As Stephen King says, wish in one hand, shit in the other. See which one fills up first. One of my hands is overflowing right now, and sadly, not with wishes. All right. Yeah. So there's some problems. We'll see if they address what the problems are, because I'll give my take too. The reality is that players are reporting being cut out of the in-game due to extremely competitive nature of the deep desert. Yeah, sorry, we got to keep giving out treats because I'll keep getting shaken down. That's absolutely happening. It is a situation where I think there's many problems or many possible solutions. So there's only a hand. It's huge. The deep desert is huge. It's mostly empty. I almost think that it needs to be even bigger, and with but with more points of interest, so that it's more difficult for players to monopolize those locations. I think that would be one thing. The other thing is they're allowed to build bases right on top of them, basically, or basically on top of them, and so they build these bases where they can camp out, and so they're just camping these spots. And I think it would be far more interesting. And there's only a handful of them. So you have to go to only a couple of spots, even though there's a giant area. They're not fighting you in the open desert, right? They're just camping the area they know you want to go. And so I think not letting them be able to build out there, so that if they want to stay out there, it's not like they can respawn at their house and repair stuff and whatever, and then immediately go back and fight again. I think that the consequences for them having battles would be more significant if you couldn't build it all in the very deep desert. Maybe in the PvE section, but not in the PvP section. I think that could be another solution as well. There's several, and I don't know if those agree with what they're thinking. I'm not saying it's not cool to be able to build out there. I'm just saying, like, maybe have spots that aren't right near the points of interest that they could build potentially. Yeah. Starting soon, some areas of the deep desert will now be flagged as partial warfare PvE. Uh, Areas where players will be able to explore testing stations and harvest the top tier resource, tier 6 resources, without the threat of conflict they may not want. It's important to note that the top tier of the game is balanced around guilds and groups, so people will still find it grindy if they play solo. Makes sense, totally fine. Landsrad control points, that's kind of an in-game system where you get rewards by doing various things that don't necessarily have to be VP. But Landsrad control points, shipwrecks, and the largest spice fields within the reach in the deep desert will remain War of Assassin PvP flagged locations. Okay. The deepest parts of the desert, so shipwrecks and spice fields, yeah, totally fine. Landsrad control points, again, people build their bases right beside them. It's like 6 one way, half a dozen the other. It's kind of been okay for me. I don't know if that's everybody's experience. Sorry, the largest spice fields within the region, yeah, they'll remain full PvP. Deepest parts of the desert will remain as they currently are. High reward, high risk. So the problem is that it's not high risk for a lot of groups, because they go out there and they stake up, and they have the skill delta is always really big. You have these people that have also been doing it. They played since early access, and it's not a high risk for them because they have their base right there. And I think that's also one of the problems. Honestly, it's worth talking about more, but we'll keep going. The beauty of the deep desert design with weekly resets, so it resets weekly, and renewals, is that we can iterate and experiment with different layouts and setups to really help us tune it. As we make changes, we will send out surveys to help us capture your thoughts. Yeah, that's fair. PvP itself has plenty of issues. Okay, cool. They're just reiterating. Plenty of issues that need to be addressed. We're taking steps. Cool. Their first one is with changes to the scout ornithopters. Okay, cool. PvP itself has plenty of issues that need to be addressed. Okay, cool. We're taking steps in that direction with our first changes to scout ornithopters, as I don't know how to say Viljar stated in the AMA. These should be implemented in the game shortly. So scout ornithopters with rocket launchers attached will have their speed maneuverability reduced. Okay, not speed and maneuverability. So I'm not sure what that means. Those are two different things. I don't know if that's a typo or something else. I think they should just omitted this word if they just meant one of those things. I'm not sure what they mean there. We'll keep going. Rockets fired from scout ornithopters will have increased heat generation. Okay, that means you can only fire so many before you have to let your heat dissipate. Otherwise, it locks you out and you can't cast. You can't shoot any anyways. So they're just nerfing scout ornithopters. Thrusters will provide a max speed bonus regardless of wings. Okay, ensuring the thrusters equipped scouts will be the fastest vehicles in the game, so you can run away. This is not going to help too much because I don't think this is really the biggest problem, honestly. We'll see. The new T5 infantry rocket launcher will be added to help improve the dynamics of vehicle slash ground combat. Okay. The new T9. Okay, so I don't know. So this is a shoulder-mounted rocket launcher. For those who aren't familiar, hey, what's up, Daedric? Daedric says, I'm not fully familiar with everything in the game, but it felt like in our PvP runs, there needs to be tools to play outnumbered. Otherwise, it's just to throw more bodies at a game. Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Well, Daedric, I don't know how long you've been here, man. But I think one of the other issues too is that I think so. One of the things they said is like high risk, high reward. I think for the people that are camping those certain locations, points of interest, it doesn't matter how big the desert is because they're camping the point of interest anyways. You got to come to them. Okay, so yeah, you just got here. So like they're forcing you to come to them anyways, and then their base is right there. They have no consequences. If they die, their base is right there. They respawn, grab a new ship, and like come back at you. Like it's not really high risk for them there. So and they can log out right there. I think one of the things they could do, I don't know if they should, but they could do is just not let people build near those points, or maybe even in the deep desert at all. I think that would, or maybe only in certain locations or something. But I think that's one of the problems too. It's not high risk. And then also when you go into a dungeon and you get locked in and then anybody can come behind you. I don't think that should happen. Like maybe you get locked in, but nobody can come behind you and it's kind of like staggered. That could be an option. Plenty of things. But then when you leave, maybe it's risky when you leave. But you got to have like 3 or 4 locations to leave from. So you can like flee like rats if you need to. And it's like, did you get away or not? Yeah, I think that would make more sense. That last idea is not realistic, guys. They would have to redesign a lot of what they're doing. And it would be a lot of work, but it's not a realistic short-term solution, but it's there. These rabbits would love some treats. The rocket launcher, guys. So in history, what I was going to say here is that like anti-air infantry is absolutely a thing, and it's incredibly effective. Okay, you've got a guy with a rocket launcher that can shoot down a plane. The plane cost millions of dollars. The rocket launcher cost maybe like a lot, but we're talking tens of thousands, not millions. So if one of them, carried by one person who can be standing on the ground, can take out a plane, it's incredibly effective at some point. Now, you can have countermeasures. You can fly above the range. There's all kinds of other things. But for a long time, when that kind of anti-infantry rocket launchers came out, like they're the counter to airplanes when you don't have your own Air Force. And so it makes sense both realistically and for the game that this would be true. So it's like, yeah, you shouldn't bring aircraft versus equipped, people on the ground. And, you could argue various things, though. Building in PvP has risks, but now it has no risk outside of the small sandstorm windows, if I recall. Yeah. Oh, it has to have risk. Yeah, exactly. Makes doing anything prone to campers. Yeah, exactly. I absolutely agree. There are additional changes to mechanisms like respawn timers. They made those longer, so it's not like you die and you just respawn. I like that. It sucks, but I like it. As someone who was staring at a respawn timer for minutes on stream, I still like it, even though that sucked. Vehicle storage tools. Okay, we're changing those up. I don't like that. Hand scanners and other mechanisms that we see being abused in the deep desert. Okay. We'll see. I hope they don't address part of the problem and not all of it. I'm a little bit worried, honestly. The intended dynamic of the deep desert PvP in Dune Awakening is that unless you really mess up, you always have the option to retreat in good order with whatever you've managed to claim so far. Yeah, that is not the case. When we got killed, we didn't take Jack back with us. There is no retreat when you're locked into the dungeon, and there is literally no way out. The only way out is forward, but you're being currently attacked by the people that came in behind you. You're just gonna lose. There's no winning. Daedric says, "Rip storage tool probably going to make it more annoying to deploy recall vehicles because of PvP." Yeah, that's what I'm worried about too. Okay, let me see. Where's it? Okay, so yeah, this is not true right now, but I do like it as I like the ideas. If they have the right ideas, they just have to figure out how to make it happen. If you're smart and vigilant, you never have to fight if you don't want to. I mean, how smart and how vigilant? If you run, you'll have to call a halt to whatever task you're pursuing, but that should always be a choice. Okay? PvP should happen when both parties decide they want to fight over a location. So I think that they're going to remove, it sounds like they're removing altogether the testing stations from the PvP area. Instead of doing something different with them, just remove them from the area. That's what it sounds like. The artwork is cool. Okay. Finally, the intended, what is their thing? What are they yelling? The deep desert becomes a place where people battle it over specific objectives, unburied testing stations, and shipwrecks, resources focused islands, and of course, spice blows. All right. So they're saying they are leaving testing stations. I'm confused. Finally, the intended dynamic has always been combined arms. We have infantry and ground vehicles and air vehicles, and they're all supposed to have clear roles, clear strengths, and clear counters. Yeah, this has been in balance. That's fine. Thopters will always be incredibly important for crossing the desert, but they shouldn't be the dominant force in actual battles. We're planning to make more changes to the deep desert to accommodate ground battles and reinforce the use of player builds. Okay? Yeah, because there's been no ground battles. Now, let's talk briefly about the Landsrat. I haven't engaged with this hardly at all. As the system is an activity driver that is designed to promote the conflict between the factions, internal politics between guilds, while providing goal thresholds for individuals and players to work towards getting personal rewards. The Landrad should be doing that for everyone who wants to participate. And they bold everyone in the end game. Okay, elder game as they call it. But they PvP. Be they PvP or I'm sorry, or PvE or okay, cool. The Landsrat should be giving you. That's a weird word. Sorry, PvE or and PvP is a weird word to read. I don't know if I've ever read that. The Landsrat should be giving you things to do every day and every week. Okay, it's nothing new. From a design perspective, we've seen daily, weekly quest systems in games for a long time. Our approach was to try and frame this system around the greater politics of the Dune universe by having players engaged in activities to earn the votes of the various Landsrat houses. The Elder Scrolls game. Oh, man. Let me acknowledge that as an activity driver, the activities it asks you to participate in are simplistic. A lot of item hand-ins and crafting requests. That's because the system's in the earliest launchable iteration. Yes. Guys, like it or hate it, I think it's fine. Games have increased in scope, okay? What we expect now is greater than what we used to expect, okay? And so games don't launch when they're finished. They launch when they're good enough, okay? And Dune Awakening is very much good enough. Games like Cyberpunk, right? When that came out, that was not good enough, right? For most people. I'm sure some of you out there I loved it. But there are a lot of games that launch and they're not good enough. And that's a problem. But games do and kind of need to, at this point, launch whenever they're good enough. And then they'll improve. If you want the best Dune Awakening experience, wait 6 to 12 months. Give it some time. Sorry, guys. You know how it is with the buns. Give it some time, be a late adopter, and things will be improved. But if you're someone who's going to jump into a game, grind it out, people did this with Helldivers, and they got mad and pissed off about stuff that wasn't a big deal because they've been playing the same game that didn't have enough content for them because there could never be enough content if you're playing a game 40 hours a week like it's a job. Then you're going to get frustrated, you're going to get tired, you're going to run out of content. And Dune Awakening, guys, I played several hundred hours. It's a ton of fun. I'm still enjoying myself. Still more content. I saw it like 100 and something hours, 120 ish, that I was running out of content. And like, yeah, I'm going to jump into the deep desert. But if I was just a PvE player and whatever, and didn't want to risk going into the deep desert solo, which I don't mind, I would know that I was like running out of content. And there's I say that there's still more PvE content you can do, still a lot of fun stuff you can do, but it wouldn't be like, oh my god, this is so exciting. I would be like, oh man, I wish there was more. I wish there was more. Right? When that excitement gets a little bit overridden by wishing there was more. Okay, the activities that the Landsrat ask you to do will become more varied as we flesh out the world with more content and activities. Yes, and guys, they're going to add a third faction that is going to help balance out the other factions as well. Okay, Landsrat is an umbrella for all in-game activities. What form to do those in-game activities take? Oh my gosh, I can't read. More dungeons with bosses that drop in-game loot. Okay, so bosses. People have been asking about bosses because right now there are pseudo bosses, but not really. More contracts that require specific tasks to be undertaken. More specialized delivery tasks that include components that cannot be stockpiled. Okay. If we ever add raids to the game, there will be a task on the Landsrat to complete those raids. That would be cool. I mean, you guys know I love my raids. It is a framework that holds the in-game activity in place. Okay. All right. And we will keep adding in-game activities and more PvE content to the game coming forward. Yes, guys, they launched with a 12-month plan for PvE content, so they're adding more too. Okay, both free and paid content in the form of DLCs and expansions. We're addressing some key flaws in the Landsrat design: the inability to hand in items after a square is completed, and the rapidity at which some squares are turned in. Stockpiling is currently rewarded. Yeah. And that is not our intention for this system, and we will make some changes to address it as best we can. Landsrat rewards are supposed to reflect the in-game tiers of progression. This includes the vendors, which can be unlocked for an entire faction through participation. If your faction, guys, wins control of or wins the Landsrat, like, you get to choose some significant and game affecting benefits, and it's pretty cool. This is the intention, but once again, let me acknowledge this isn't exactly in the right place. The Landsrat will be updated to provide micro rewards for solo small group players. Thanks for listening, everyone, and apologies for the confusion. Once a live game launches, it becomes a collaborative effort. Oh my God. Somebody tell the devs at ESO. It becomes a collaborative effort between the developers and the players to make it something amazing. We appreciate your feedback. And I think they actually listened, so I actually believe that they appreciate our feedback on what we hope is the beginning of a long journey together. Absolutely. Raids in this game sound funny. Yeah, it could be a little weird. I mean, honestly, like 4-player is pretty fun. It's a good sweet spot. Bear with us. Our intention is to be clear and open in our communications. Holy shit, this is amazing. Clear and open in communications. That's amazing. We love to see it. To make Dune Awakening a game that everybody can enjoy. Hope this helps, Joel. That's cool. And this is Joel. I think this is all great. I think this is all good news. Yeah, it's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect tomorrow. All the changes they make, there's no chance that it fixes everything. They're moving in the right direction, and I'm pretty happy with that now. That's my take. I don't know. How do you guys feel? Anybody feel strongly? I also pulled up. I don't think we'll go through it. I'm tired of talking. I've been talking for a while. My voice is going to go out. But they did a AMA. So they threw it out there. People asked some questions. People were asking about quality of life. People were asking about automation. I think that some people were looking for a more of satisfactory type game. And that's not what this is. And I thought that was good. Like, people wanted to be able to automate being able to generate water differently than just the ways that they have automated. And I don't think that made sense. Yeah. What do they say to this? We have an update in testing that contains a lot of quality of life updates. That's the other thing, is there are a ton of quality of life. I would love some expansion on housing. Housing needs love. Love some supports that aren't just vertical, that you could do it, on a horizontal or incline. That would be really nice. There's a lot of features to make base building easier and make it more interesting and cool. I know that they've added a lot of stuff to their other games with housing, so I think they will in the future. For PvE plans for the future, each of our major updates will continue new story content and PvE content, which will release the same time as our DLCs comes out. Our goal is to have these releases every 3 to 4 months. Cool. That's a pretty. I mean, that's a lot. So that's pretty rapid. How do I shrink this? Oh, there we go. What else? I'm sorry, this is probably too small for you guys to even read. My apologies. There we go. Is that too big? Are you at least entertaining the idea / changes to ornithopter weapons or making them weaponless? Okay. They've already kind of addressed that. Right now, the deep desert is mostly just scout ornithopters with rockets. That was part of the problem, guys, for those who don't know. Will you be looking to change so we can name storage containers? Please, for my sanity. That's a quality of life. Definitely. Okay, cool. So the base management, guys, is basically a copy from one of their previous games, and they didn't add much to it. They released the game when it was good enough, not when it was finished. Okay, so that's okay, and that's exciting. I'd love to have that. That would be a good quality of life feature. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, yeah, okay, cool. Tatrick says they should add subclassing to the game. Oh, wait. Oh, my God. They launched with it, man. They launched with it. What else do we have? Will you change the Lensrad so the players can continue to contribute to it after it has been claimed? I think the answer is yes. Contribution to stack week after week so that small groups and solos can work towards larger goals over time. Are there any plans to implement something like faction-based warfare in the deep desert with a war map and such? PvP in the deep desert is a big issue at the moment as it is an almost entirely aircraft-based. Yeah, I do not mind having aircraft being able to fight. I think they've kind of addressed this. Factional warfare was something I was really hoping for when I purchased the game. I'm sorry, that's not the deep desert will always stay a PvP free-for-all area, but we might consider adding other locations that offer factional warfare. Okay. Yeah, I don't think they want one faction getting super strong and just killing everybody and that being a problem. These are a lot of things this AMA happened before the announcement, so I think they covered most of this. I'm not seeing anything that's like popping out to me. Will you ever be able to stack storage boxes? There's a way to do it. It's just a little janky. There are ways to do it already using half walls to create shelves. They are continuously looking into ways to improve quality of life, and stacking boxes is on that list. Okay, good. A lot of PvE players feel disheartened and discouraged by the current setup for in-game, as PvP is basically forced on anyone wanting to advance in the game. Is there any consideration to adjust this or perhaps make resources available without having to delve into PvP? We will continue to make improvements to the Landsrad to ensure that it is better served needs of PvE players. The deep desert itself will remain PvP. Okay. Well, I think we've covered it, guys. I don't know. I'm sure there's more. I'm sure there's more they had to say, more that we could cover. But we'll I think we'll leave it here for today. Just want to do a short stream. I want to talk about this stuff. My apologies. I know that some of you guys wanted to join for this. I told someone I was going to be doing it at 5 o'clock today, and that was 6 or 7 hours ago. So my apologies. Just the way it worked out today. But we'll be covering more Dune Awakening, guys. I'm going to be doing some videos on it, and we'll be talking about it more in the future. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm gonna dip out. Maybe I'll go drop in a Dune for a few minutes, but not on stream. So we'll catch you guys later. Appreciate everybody dropping in. Daedric, always a pleasure. Luna, good catching you guys. And everybody have a great night, guys. We'll catch you soon. Thanks.